haven't. I haven't had What's happening?
It's like the olden days.
Oh, now you like it.
I feel like I'm in Brunswick Street in 1990.
One more time, don't let me sit all alone and cry.
Oh my God.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to say a few words. Matt, I'm Julie's partner, if you don't know me. And then Lucy, of course, say a few words. And then Sunshine also would like to say a few words. And Julie would like the right of rebuttal.
You shut up.
So, from my perspective, and hecklers will be involved. So, Julie and I have had shared lives for more than 20 years. We haven't quite worked out the exact date, but we have two beautiful children. We have a house and a farm and 2 cars. We've had numerous guinea pigs. We now have a dog. We've had cats. We've had all of those things, which have all been fantastic. And from my perspective, it's been great because sharing your life with Julie's been really great. She's a generous and caring person who takes every opportunity to make cheeky jokes. Mostly at appropriate times, but sometimes inappropriate times. Most of the time, good. And she has a fantastic, apart from her generosity and caring spirit, she has a fantastic love of sport, which I don't necessarily share, which is so weird. It's not the beloved cats, it's cricket, and of course the annual marathon of Wimbledon, sometimes the Test, the Ashes, and then the Tour de France. Which also shows a love of the couch. But in all seriousness, she's a very loving person, a caring, thoughtful, great deal of generosity of spirit, and I've been greatly privileged to share the last 20 years or so. And so I want to say congratulations and well done on making the milestone of 50.
Hello everyone, and thanks for coming. All here tonight to celebrate my wonderful mother's 50th birthday. It was hard to write a few things down. As many of you know, Julie is a great storyteller and has a great sense of humour. But most of all, her favourite source of amusement is my father, my brother, only it should be. Thanks, Mum, for being the sort of person who stands up for herself, her friends and her beliefs. She's been a great role model for me and has taught me to be fair, understanding and independent. Apart from me, her favourite daughter, one of the things my mum loves the most is travelling. From her first trip to Europe with Grandma Dallas to hijacking Roger's trip to Hong Kong and her most recent trip to Sri Lanka, she has never passed up the opportunity to travel. Since we all know there's so much more of the world you'd love to see, we've put together some money so you can take a trip with your choice and a well-earned holiday.
So, some of you got the email, some of you didn't, but so far there's over, I think, $2,000. And there's still time apparently.
Geez, indeed. Can we get $2.5 grand? Can we get to 3? How much would we pay to get Julie out of the country? I'm one of Julie's more organised friends, but I didn't organise a speech, but I did find some receipts in my wallet. I've written some notes, but then I remembered that I'd made such a special card, I should probably just read some of the bits from it, or it could prompt some other stuff. I've been really lucky to be a workmate and a close friend of Julie's for 15 or so years. We're still trying to figure out the dates. And I reckon that so many people here who have worked with Julie also count themselves really special friends, because it's pretty hard not to. But we're really lucky as well to share daughters who were born within days of each other and are strikingly similar. They're both spent some time in Europe this year and both ended up in hospital on the same day. It's a bit scary. So you're not going to Earthcore next weekend, are you? Excellent. And everyone knows about Julie's love of sport, and she's a Geelong supporter. We should never have actually been. I'm a Hawthorn supporter. I don't know. She's irresistible, so we just laid down and we went, let's just do it. Okay, that's all good. But exactly what Matt said, she's incredibly generous and fair, incredibly humorous, doesn't take herself particularly seriously, but takes all of her friends and loved ones very seriously and her care for them. So now to the receipts. Julie isn't always the most serious person, but let me just tell you how seriously she's taken at work. You know how she gives everyone shit. Well, she gives the managers, the CEO shit. The CEO can't park his car outside our storage unit without copying it from Julie. It's sensational. But the respect and the responsibility she holds at the City of Whittlesea is quite substantial. And she's consulted on everything from how to construct the municipal emergency plan. So 3, 4, 6 bourbons. I'm not sure, still trying to figure that out. But also to then where to get a licence for the local Highland pipe band that would like to start. So, so anytime soon. You walk with Julie and it takes you forever to get anywhere. Yeah, she's got to stop and have a chat with everyone. But it's just because she cares. She cares so much, and then everyone loves her in return with plenty. She's really great at putting shit on all the surveys at work, and we do a lot of stuff with statistics. And so the known knowns, I would say 80% of us here have worked with Julie, 20% of us have been given paid gigs, maybe 5% live with her, maybe 2% live with her, the crowd looks bigger now. 100% have eaten her great cooking and lemon delicious. Probably 80% of it, 80% of us rocked up tonight. There's probably a few missing. And let's just say 100% of us love her. And so, just in closing, I've got a couple of sentences I'm not going to finish for Julie. I'm just going to say, who would have thought? No thanks, I'm driving. What could possibly go wrong? We love you, Julie.
Thanks very much for everyone for coming, and thanks for Lucy, Bill. Obviously you got squeezed out as usual. Matt, thank you very much for all your kind words. I'm pretty sure it's more than 20 years. Obviously when it's your birthday and you've got some pressure to perform. I know it's really great at my grandma's funeral. Which obviously is a little bit sadder than now. Yeah, I did a really good speech then. Steve Waugh and how he made his, because like Steve Waugh, she got to her ton. And like Steve Smith the other night at the MCG, he got his ton as well. I know you love cricket. So yeah, a little bit of pressure, and I thought I better write something. Look, I've written something. I worked it out pretty much today. As most of you will know, I'm really, quite focused on time management. So I thought probably better if I work with the theme. So I went with the 7 stages of aging. And as my dear friend and our dear friend, the clever and crafty Felicity Lay says, that the first stage of aging is wearing a cardigan. Like many of you here, I was an early adapter. And I still love a cardigan, it's warm. Yeah, I love a cardigan. And I've got one in case I've got a cold tonight. It's great. I hope all of the ladies who went to the toilet noticed that there was a locked craft part, and I hope you all thought of Felicity. And Emily, I know you're a lovely crafter as well. So yeah, 7 stages of aging. Number 1, wearing a cardigan. Number 2, having children. Obviously it's really good when you replace yourself. So I have 2 beautiful, intelligent, kind, friendly children. And this may obviously differ from some of the venting I have done. If you've ever heard me call them the hair flicker and the ice cream licker. But they have been a really joyful part of my life. And they're wonderful children. And they have also a kind and intelligent father whose even temper has stopped many slappings. I'd like to thank them, and also all of my friends here who've helped. In lots of ways, I think I was, for some of us, the first one of my friends who had kids. So I think I've probably helped a lot of you who've now got children. And so the kind of the non-religious generation that we come from, and we don't really call them godparents anymore. But I think the Indigenous mob's right when they talk about aunties and uncles. And I'd just like to thank everyone who've been an auntie and uncle to my children and our children. So thanks very much for that. I remember Kathy and Belgium looking after a 6-week-old Lucy, who I think cried for about pretty much the whole time Matt and I went out for dinner, and may have actually been traumatised for life. But, thanks very much. I remember David Castle coming and sleeping David, staying overnight while Matt and I went into the hospital and we had Bill. Heather for visiting regularly and documenting the early years and teaching Lucy all about champagne corks and what they meant, and Flick and Paul for all their support and their love and their outings. Although Flick, that Birds and the Bees talk you were meant to have with Lucy didn't really happen. And while Lucy was very happy, I was quite disappointed. Still not pregnant yet. Obviously all of my family who have loved my children and helped them. Bill still gets excited that Roger might give him a special present. Bev, thank you for coming tonight. You love them, and look, everyone here has loved my children, and thank you very much for that.
Except for David Castle.
obviously for David Castle, I'm sorry about that. I realised I meant the professor from Melbourne Uni who often returns our emails. Everyone who kept an eye on Bill from the time he was 18 months to 6 years when he never seemed to stop running. And like I said, everyone else who looked after, you know, from friends of my kids and their parents. It takes a village, and thanks everyone for being in the village. Third sign of ageing, getting a mortgage. Yes, we bought a house over Bell Street. I know it was 15 years ago, and you all thought it was a long way from Westbourne Grove in Northcote, and it was. But as we spent 150k in our original outlay, I think we've done all right. Thanks for the people who helped us move. And that all-night renovation rescue team who clearly, they never made a movie out of that, but you know, it would have been quite late. Ivan's not here, but we wouldn't have had any furniture upstairs if Ivan hadn't been there. So yes, that's the third stage of ageing. The fourth is eyesight. And I can read what I've got here, but you all look like a blur over there. Thanks for coming. But like cardigan wearing, I caught on early that it was really, I couldn't read anything small print recently, and unless I had a teenager with me, yeah, I couldn't read anything, and I was microwaving things for 5 minutes. It's been under frost, but the $2 to $10 magnifiers that you get at the Preston Road really have been a revelation. And obviously the fifth sign of ageing is probably all around skincare. Now that I'm wearing the glasses, the skin looks really bad. Before that, it really wasn't so bad. Obviously, when November started, I realised that that it was great, and I really should go with it. But that it only ended in November. So I've been seeing a little Chinese woman recently, an Indian woman as well. $8 threading or waxing? Waxing can really hurt. I don't know. Actually, threading can really hurt, but it's much cheaper. I don't think you can get like long-term burns threading, but you can. Waxing. Certainly, we went to Bali a few years ago, and I really didn't feel the top of my mouth for about 2 weeks. But, she was reheating the wax in a rice cooker. But anyway, skincare, the more you spend, possibly the better it is. Actually, I'm not sure. I think smoking obviously hasn't helped, and being outside hasn't helped, but then if I take my glasses off, really not so bad. So that's the fifth sign of ageing. And the sixth sign of ageing is probably, you know, your parents getting older. So Mum couldn't be here tonight. Well, she wanted to come, but I said no. Obviously, with macular degeneration, she shouldn't be on the road anyway, but they've given her a licence for another 12 months. So that's fantastic. But as long as you don't live anywhere between, like from where she lives in Blackburn and Preston, you know, it should all be fun. But Mum did get sick this year, although she made some of the little tartlets. I hope you like them. They were delicious. Yeah, no doubt they were delicious. So that was like the sixth sign of aging, like when your parents get older. Have I been going on for too long? I'm going for ages apparently, but I'm waiting for the band to do it. Anyway, but yeah, Mum got sick, and she needed to go to the hospital, so that definitely focuses the mind. And I did have a little bit of an epiphany moment when she was quite ill. She had the fever and the flu, and I had to help her get dressed. And then when I opened her cupboard, clearly I knew that I had been adopted because everything was really neatly and all of her clothes were so neatly ironed. And children, just stand forward. Dallas has ironed all of our clothes tonight. So macular degeneration, bring it on. So yeah, that was. Apparently I wasn't adopted, although none of the photos that we have, because I'm on things. But it's not just about her getting old, and that is a real moment, but then you notice that the children are getting older, and for any of Lucy's friends who are still here, yes, we have been to the lounge. It's not just about the parents getting older, but you realise you're 50 and then the kids are going to the lounge, and as Lucy said, I didn't know it was open 30 years ago. Like, good comeback. They were rolling our eyes going, and then I suppose, so everyone getting older is obviously the sixth sign of aging, which is ridiculous because that's aging. But maybe your parents getting older, and maybe people who aren't here anymore, and that whole thing that people move on, and hopefully something will. If you look at my notes, it's a quiet blank, and I think I was reheating food or going to buy those Polaroids. Nick down and get those Polaroids. And the seventh sign of aging is that you might have time for self-reflection, which clearly I haven't, because it's actually blank. Thank you for being part of my village. I'm sorry that I'm really bad at texting, and that even though I have a Facebook thing, I've only been on twice, and that the lower tendencies are quite extreme. But thank you, my lovely partner, thank you, my lovely children, thank you for my villagers, and that's the seventh.